now. Jaguar Falls will be the last game of this set, the last time these two teams play, likely.
I like to see Jaguar Falls again. This kind of harpens back to what we were saying earlier with the split stone. You know, it's such a comfort pick. It's such an ancient map. It's probably the only way you could say it at this point when it comes to Paladins' careers. Like, everyone knows what Jaguar Falls is, how it's played as a map, and how they specifically like to play this map. You know, this isn't a map that tends to have just one specific play style. There are quite a few different ways that you can play this map, although some better than others. There is most certainly a little bit of personal flavor that could be added to this map.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot you can do. Like first pick. Oh, never mind.
First
picks in. You know, like all these teams do. No, Grover first pick by Unfair, which I get. I mean, taking that away from Imagine Cheating, he's been looking incredible on it the last couple games, but they give Only Chill picks Barrick to take it away from Invocal, and they get the Corvus, which I believe Unfair had been banning. They didn't want to see, I think, either of these things on the other side, but they will lean into their Ashe. Even with Rom available, that seems like an interesting pick for me. I get that they just prefer it, but Rom, I think, would have ended up fine no matter what they were playing into.
Well, I think the round would have been nice as well, considering the fact that everyone seems to be playing the Tinkering on the Barrack, so that's at least one extra character as well. There's not really got that specific headshot damage that's quite confirmable onto a realm. I like to see this Koga pick up. We've seen it consistently banned throughout the tournament. The one time that it got through, I said I believed was more of a bait for the enemy to take it. They wanted the enemy to take the Koga because of the map pick and the character composition that they were going for. But Koga right now, I think, is quite strong, especially with a character like Grover, where you can always consistently stay within his heals. I think that's where Koga's sweet spot is, when he has consistent healing at all times, because of some of the cards decks that you can build with him. But he is going to be facing off again against another Ruckus and yet again another Caspian, both of which have a Corvus pocket.
Yeah, that does not feel fun.
Ooh,
Grok is interesting.
The Grover Grok.
Okay, I that is like really good ults, at least early game. I think Unfair needs to win early game. If this game goes long, Only Chill, I feel like just take it away. Vic, I feel like I'd almost rather Tyra here. I don't know if I'm crazy about that. Like some DR Tyra, Hunting Party Tyra. I think Tyra could have been the better pick, but I think they just want to scope in burst mode headshot. Maybe they feel like it'll be better against Koga because it's more, compact damage rather than having to. The thing
as well is Koga does cleanse Tyra Mark with dash as well. That's
true.
Which is a bit of a nuisance. I'm guessing Ghost Walk does as well? Question mark. I should know that, but I believe
so. I believe so. Ghost Walk, if it cleanses caught, it cleanses Mark, and I think Ghost Walk cleanses caught, so it should cleanse Mark.
It cleanses. Okay, I kind of agree with you on the Victor. I genuinely, or typically, I don't really like the long range DPS characters on on Jag Falls. I think their positioning on this map kind of falls to the wayside. The fact that they have extra range in comparison to other characters doesn't really end up feeling that beneficial on this map. Which is why I would totally agree with you that I think Tyra would have been a nicer pick here. But Nardco played fantastic on the Victor last round. Maybe he's just feeling it a little bit better. And I do always say sometimes that the characters that you're feeling more confident on can, in the end, in the long run, be better than the characters that could have been better in the situation just because they are better in the situation, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying. I think it lets them, like, they'll feel like... And the parts where it's good, it feels good, but they probably wanted something more consistent in general. They are running Shrapnel, though, so they are adapting a little bit, which I think leans even more towards probably picking the Tyra. But what is up with Totemic Ward? Am I missing the boat here? I assumed it would be
Totemic
Maelstrom.
Ward has just been a bit of a staple pick now.
Okay.
Because most of the time what you'll do is, because you have 3 charges on it, and you will run increased movement speed for your team. So essentially you're just putting... Ward totems across the map, consistent speed everywhere. And that's going to work really well again with the Koga. I'm going to assume that Koga is going to run the card while he's shooting. So he's going to be inside of totems, getting increased heals, increased movement speed, whilst also getting passive healing on top of that from the Grover, making him pseudo questionable immortal. But obviously that hasn't quite worked out for them just yet.
Okay, I'm glad people in chat are saying Totemic. Yeah, I totally get it. I understand they did make some changes to it now. They're running it purely for healing. I don't know how. We'll see how it kind of wears out, but against an aggressive comp, wouldn't really want that. With Ruckus, Caspian, Corvus, you could just be getting walked out this entire game. You can see they're just trying to edge cap with the half shell. Whenever it resets, they're just putting their tiptoes on the point to get what they can from it. Leighton might be getting a little over aggressive here, trying to zone them out. I'm gonna watch that health bar potentially disappear. You can see it is quickly draining, forced to run away, overextending once again. This is really hurting them. And the Caspian, so much damage running in with a piercing stun, but there's too much for him. Only 2100 HP. He's gonna have to run away, but still, he left a mark on them. That has stuck here so far, but forcing the Whirlwind, they can reset, they can move right back out to the point.
I really was expecting him to just push in there and just go guns to the wall. I think he could have got more value if he'd just given up his life there and just pushed straight into that. He has piercing on that ultimate, and if he pierces through with all of those ult charges, even if he got 3 of them off, he could have done some significant damage to the enemies there.
Yeah, could have worked out, but not going to for the moment for him there, caught with that dash out. And this is Koga. You said we wanted to see it, and it is definitely succeeding right now. Also, I like that it's agility build. I know dash build was the thing for a while. Agility build, at least when I was actively playing Koga, was not as commonly used, but love to see it. I think that is a fun build, and I think it's also very efficient.
This is how I would run him now as well. So what I would be running personally is the increased movement speed on agility,
of course,
healing on agility, and then increased healing while you're firing. So you get a bonus heals while you're shooting consistently, and that's why having these 2 healers that can consistently have passive heals at all time works well for him. Because if you look in the bottom left corner now, he has 3 separate amounts of heals coming through on top of himself, and then with those bonus cards, it becomes quite amplified.
This is a brutal push right now for Unfair. They are just shredding anyone that tries to contest. This Dome Shield is buying them some time, but it's already gone. It wears out. He's at half HP. How long can you survive this? Not long enough. No one would be able to come contest. Pixel is picking them all off. They have Cosmic getting some of this damage here, but this Koga is just tearing into them, and that will close it out for them. Unfair with a dominant start here.
Well, they really didn't need to expend much for that either. They're still very close to getting the Grok ult. They're just a little bit farther away from the Ashe ultimate, which is something. Is he using regenerate 20 ammo?
Max regen.
Okay, so he's not using the increased healing cards. Okay, so he's using... So I may get hate for this, but the regenerate ammunition card, I don't run that one. I actually tend to go for Death Tans on Koga, and I use increased healing instead. So I'm getting more passive healing from everyone rather than having to go for something like a rejuvenate or anything of that nature. And then I just swap it out for Death Tans. Because
I use Death Hands on dash builds, but I always used the regen ammo. Mostly because I took it from Bitey. It was Bitey's build, the bullet hose. I like it this way, but I totally get where you're coming from. There's 2 definitely trains.
I'm not saying either one is right or wrong.
Oh yeah. No. For sure. I think there's definitely ways to think about it. Leighton, that's the second time Leighton has died in the same position, except this time they spent Whirlwind to try to keep him alive. But this time, everyone else is out. They didn't reset. They didn't play inside, and now Cosmic is just out of control in here.
Just shredding through people. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous that at 5 minutes in the game, through a Grover ultimate heal, the Caspian also will just still shred through anything. It's crazy amounts of damage that he does with that ultimate. And the thing is, now that they've made it that the ultimate procs all of your ammo back, it's always 100% ammo regen once you use that ultimate. So no matter what situation you're in, the ult can always be popped, and it always has value as long as you're not insta-dying on the back end of it.
Yeah, you
big amounts of damage coming out from the Corvus ult here, keeping them off the point. On top of that, a Victor ult too, shredding out the damage. Is it going to be enough since the Unfair squad seem to have retaken? But no, 2 of the Unfair squad have ended up falling.
Yeah, they're all going to collapse on the way back to the point. That early fight, that early cap time they got with that comeback mechanic, making it almost impossible for them to actually get that retake. Plus, Leighton, Assert Dominance, such a good ultimate. If he could have charged it in the fight or had a chance to, just got walked at again. I think they just need to rethink where their Ashe is positioned in the early fights. If they want to have a shot here, Only Chill, though, they'll get plenty of ults here, because Only Chill is streaking across the board. Ruckus able to disengage here, baiting some of them in. Leighton gets stunned, does get the Assert Dominance off, and that will trade 1 kill for them. They are going to just put a brick on the gas pedal and run him down.
They've just said here, you may have got the point, but we're going to keep you back in base. And that is what I want to see from them. I want to see a lot of aggression here. I really want to see them pushed out, which is seeming to be, again, as they continue to do, taking another kill onto Cosmic here on the back end of the Koga. Grover taking a nice angle here, trying to get a nice bit of damage. The Ruckus is behind? Question mark.
I'm
kind of figuring out, trying to figure out what he's doing here, because he's not going to be getting a back cap. Because
he's waiting for timing. He's waiting for a timing to aggress. They forced Whirlwind, but now the rest of them are going to run at him. But this is going to give them a number advantage, right? If he trades one for a few, it'll be fine. He does manage to double dash into his Dome Shield, which they spent just to get him out. This Koga ultimate is doing some pressure, but stunned right out of it. They try to Grok ult to save him, but that's just another ult wasted.
Okay, my mistake there. It was actually his car. I kind of got a little bit confused there, just simply because of the amount of aggression that had just come out from this unfair squad. I was finding it difficult to imagine how the Ruckus had got into that position, so that just made me a little bit confused there. My apologies. But again, unfair squad here is getting absolutely wiped. Koga having to use his dashes, expend them just to get back to the base, just to heal up a little bit, so Only Chill doesn't actually get a full 5-man squad wipe here. Victor repositioning, so he's got a good angle for his ultimate. Interesting to see whether they're going to expend any ultimates here to tie this up to the 2-2.
I would love to see almost Corvus, maybe just Corvus ult spent here, and Barrage makes sense to use it in the more open area rather than the enclosed other section of the map. But Tarek once again behind on a flank. Now they're looking for Leighton, who's caught out. Will they make him assert dominance? No, he doesn't even have a chance to. And now it's just Invocal going for a hook. Can't even shoot a single shot after it, and a immediate answer. 2-2-2.
So both
teams have looked so dominant on their halves.
Yeah, literally. But this has been happening a lot today. Like, one team goes 2-0 up, and it looks like absolutely 100% they've won this game. There's no coming back. And then the other squad just seems to manage to do the backside in reverse. They did have to expend the Victor ultimate for that one, but Victor ultimate not really the hardest one to charge up, especially into characters like Makoa, when you have that easy headshot potential. And he's had a lot of value with these grenades as well. He's been getting some nice resets, some nice big damage numbers when the Makoa is trying to hide in specific areas of the map to hide away while he waits for his half shell to regenerate. But interesting to see now what they do here, and to where there is Leighton actually has his ult available this time as well, though. So yeah, the mispositioning that maybe we've seen in the last 2 rounds might not be as much of an issue.
And they know that he does, or at least they think that he does, so they're playing off of him entirely here. Leighton now playing on point. This could be a massive assert dominance if he goes for it, if he wasn't clipping into the ground for some reason, but he manages to claw his way out of the quicksand and go in for this ult. Dropey is low and tucked into the corner. Grok bounces are getting him low, but he survives, and now Corvus is pocketing him. Losing that kill is huge for them, as the rest of them gave their lives away to go for that chase. I mean, and best Invocal now kills a Ruckus, but he's just going to run away to his team. They don't really care about cutting back for Cap. He does die, but what a great start for Only Chill.
That was so incredibly unfortunate that Barrack didn't die. I don't think, actually, to be honest with you, I don't think it mattered at that point anyway. The rest of the team had already fallen by the end of it, so it wouldn't have been as impactful as maybe it seemed. But even still, to have lost the one thing after you'd expended an ultimate for it, really not a good look.
Yeah, they needed to get a little bit more out of that here as Invocal tries to. He just gets overtime kites away. If they get off, they could maybe get this reset, and it looks like they will play for that reset here. But they lose Leighton immediately, have to use Ancient Rage, and these are ults that are not going to feel good with a Victor staring at you down from medium range.
As well, the Victor doesn't seem to be pressured out all that often. Most of the time we've seen him just being able to sit in the backline here, consistently spamming out damage. You think maybe a little bit more pressure from the Koga would have been expended to get rid of this Victor earlier on in the fights. Out comes the ultimate from the Caspian, and that is going to guarantee a couple of kills here. Finally finishing up onto Leighton and to Grok here, and that's going to be 3 points now in favor of Only Chill. This is not looking good for Unfair. We said earlier that their composition really does focus heavily on the early game, and considering it's going to a late game now, it's not going to be easy for them to pick up this last point.
They really needed that second mid-win, I think, and the fact that they don't have it is making this look so difficult for them. And also, that Shrapnel Victor pick, we talked about picking Tyra instead, but I think the Shrapnel Victor must have just been a counter pick for knowing that they're all going to be deathballed, right? You're getting all this AoE damage just like that, catching Avaleo on the way out. These grenades are probably what is stacking up damage here for Nardco more than anything. This card's getting close to that final bend. Ults are going to have to come out for Unfair if they had any. It's honestly all on Leighton. If he dies now, I don't know if they have a chance.
This Corvus ult as well, fantastic use to force all of Unfair out of angles that they're trying to hide. And I think you're completely right when you speak about Shrapnel Victor being used. Just as soon as that dome shield is down from the Makoa and they have to hide in one area, that's it. They just take 2 Victor grenades and they're already half HP. Amazing ult from the Ruckus there to completely shred through the Makoa. No chance of him getting ultimate online, but they do have the Barrack dome shield just to try and force this through. Is it going to be enough? It is.
Yep, they close it out there. A great play at the end. Dome shield, just to say, I don't care if you're assert dominance. All you're going to do is make it take just a little bit more time before we actually close out that game. That's a statement by Only Chill, I think. Doing that to Unfair, a team that people were putting I'm assuming pretty high up in their tier list. They made it really far in that initial bracket.
They have made it very far now, even into the losers bracket.
Yeah,
they've made it very far now here as well. Really well played from them, but I think having lost that first mid, they got the first mid fight, sorry, but having lost the second mid fight really was the start for the end of them. If they'd maybe managed to defend that and keep it at least to the 3-1, and had it just so they just needed to win that 1 point fight on the next round. But yeah, the really was not great for them with that kind of composition that relies so heavily on healing, letting the Cauterize start to build up for your enemies, and of course having composition so reliant on having the shielding from the Makoa consistently up and letting the Wrecker get online really was a detriment to them. And unfortunately that is going to be the end for those guys in this tournament. We do have some stats here now, ladies and gents. If you want to check that out, we can show you real quick.
Well, 17-2, 171,000 Degats.
It seems we might have been wrong. I'm happy to admit when I might have called something a little bit incorrect, and I think we were definitely incorrect in saying that the Tyra could have been a better pick here.